And I'm sitting here chilling with Shaquena and Baldhead, whole laughing libations. Check it out. Slaps and libations, slaps and libations, slaps and no shade, slaps and libations, 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 slaps and no shade, slaps and libations, slaps and libations, slaps and you in a wheelchair. And boy, he's so stupid, how you know we don't care. It's laughter all day, come and eat that, we'll pain in one way.
What's up, y'all? What's up? Welcome to another episode of Laughs and Libations Podcast. I am your girl, comedian Shaquena. We got comedian Bullhead tonight as our special guest tonight, y'all. Make sure that y'all, put your hands together when he come to the stage. But in the meantime and in between time, I'm going to tell y'all about my week. I've been busy getting ready for this clean comedy show when all the details and stuff, get cemented, in. I'm going to make sure that I'm ready for this show. I'm gonna make sure I'm ready for this show. Make sure that I got my jokes down in my brain and all of that. Taking out some jokes, adding some jokes. You know how you do when you're trying to get your set together, trying to make sure that it's what it need to be, what it should be. Trying to practice it, listen at yourself, cause I don't. Okay, I'm gonna send you the link again in your DM. In your DM, okay? So that could be better for you. Hold on. But yeah, y'all, that's how my week been going. I've been trying my best to get this set down, cause y'all, I have not been on stage since last year. I think it was May or June of last year. Check your DM Bullhead on Instagram. I sent you the link. But yeah, y'all, that's what I've been trying my best to do. Get this set down. I've been recording myself audio. I don't want to record it, video wise. I don't want to do that. I just want to listen at myself, and I want to tweak what I need to tweak. And I just been straightening up my room and everything. Trying to come up with some new merch. I'm taking my time, but enough about me. I want y'all to put y'all hands together for the guest of the night. He's a comedian. He's a motivational speaker. He's all things Muslim. And the things that he posts on social media, y'all need to check out on his Instagram. I want y'all to welcome to the stage, comedian Head.
Hey, what's going on? How y'all doing?
Fine, how you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing a whole lot better.
That's good. What was going on with you?
Life is good. Man, tomorrow's my birthday.
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna be up in a couple hours. I'll be the big 56.
What?
Yeah.
You look good, Bullhead.
Well, thank you.
You look good, man. It's been a while since I seen you. First of all, thank you for coming to
Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
I don't mind having you, because I've been seeing you do interviews and the stuff that you post on social media be having me just like that. Just laughing, because I'm like, what is wrong with him?
Hey, so let me tell you something. A lot of people ask me a couple questions.
Uh-huh.
They ask me if I'm stupid or if I'm crazy. And you know what I tell them?
What?
I can do some stupid shit, and I can show you crazy. You don't want to see crazy with me.
No, you don't.
Cause you know why? Look, let me tell you
Mm-hmm.
something. My white mama, the whitest woman in America,
Uh-huh.
she told me I could do what I wanted to do. And I believed her. And guess what? Everything I did is because she told me I could do it.
I know that's right.
Yep.
You supposed to tell your kids that.
Yeah.
They can do
But
whatever
I
they want to
mean,
do.
but I can be extra. I can be extra. But you know what though? I was born in the oldest mosque in America right now.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother gave birth to me in that mosque as a
Wow.
white American Muslim woman in America. She was one of the first converts to become a Muslim in America.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And my mother wasn't afraid of nobody. She was a Taurus just like me. And she used to tell me, she used to say, look, you a bull.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, bulls are nice people.
Right.
But if you mess around with me, you're going to get them horns.
Thank you.
And you know what? I'm a very patient person with people.
Right.
But, it's like that matador that be throwing up that little flag, that little thing. Look,
Yeah.
you ever been to a bull fight?
I've seen one. Never been to them.
All right, let me tell you about the bull.
Okay.
The bull is the one that decides when the fight starts.
Right.
Not the matador. The matador is waiting for the bull to fight.
Right.
Right? And the more that bull is focused on that, he's looking for every single move. Because when he make the wrong move,
mm-hmm.
he's going to be flying in the air. He's going to have a horn in his ass. Something's going to happen to that matador.
Right.
And more bulls walk out of that damn bull ring than matadors do. And they got swords.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Oh my God.
So you know what? I've defeated a lot of matadors in my life.
Right.
And those are the people who try to stop you from doing what you need to do.
Right. They hate.
I'm on a mission from God.
Thank you. You can't.
I mean, I was born in God's house.
Yes, you was.
So that and my mother told me that. She said, your job is to go out and help people.
Right.
And I've been doing that my whole life. And you know what? It's so funny how you get people who want to try to stop you from helping other people.
Right.
And you know what I call them people?
What?
Can I cuss on here?
Yeah.
All right. Fucking crabs.
I know that's right. Because you know
now,
what?
Look. Yeah, you see all that back there, right?
Right.
Yeah, I've been a lot of places.
I see.
And I've met a lot of people.
Right.
But what I do when I go into some place, I just watch people for about 30 days. And they'll tell you who they are. And who you looking for.
Right.
The people who don't want to change. Those are your crabs.
Right.
And guess what? And we're talking about people here, but we're talking in this analogy of crabs, right? Now, what do crabs do? They gang together. They gang together, and they go into, and they you usually just put them in a bucket somewhere. And guess what?
Right.
They ain't leaving that bucket. They love that bucket. And you know what? I love them in that bucket too, because those are the people that I'm not going to work with.
That part.
Now, when I need some help from them, I'm going to go get their help and make them work with me. But they cannot be part of my project, because crabs are scavengers. They'll fuck your shit up. Yeah. So once I identify the crabs and I put them in the bucket, because they not coming out that bucket. Right. I ain't worried about them crabs no more. I act like they don't even exist. Right. And then I start working on my plan. Right. Well, actually, I do the plan first, and then I make sure the crabs don't mess up my plan.
Right. You supposed to, because if they start messing up your plan, it's time to let them go.
Look, man. Look, my big. Look, I used to live 11 blocks from Muhammad Ali when I was a kid.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, I am a very fortunate man to have met a whole lot of famous people and got advice from them. When I was 12 years old, I used to have to take the bus in Chicago from Woodlawn to Inglewood because we went to a magnet school, and they had we had what they call Arabs, but Arabs. Like I talk about the Arab thing, I'll tell you about the Arab thing here. Don't please, I got to tell you that next. So we had Arabs, we had Hispanics, we had brown people, we had pink people. Those are the white people. Because white people don't exist. That's something that was created for racism. But we had all these different people in my school, and because we were biracial Muslim kids, we fit the magnet program at the time because there wasn't a bunch of us. There wasn't a bunch of Muslims in America back in the 1980s.
Okay.
They started coming to America in the 1980s, like in droves. But before that, it wasn't a lot of Muslims in America at all. So wherever I went, I was normally, me and my brothers we were only Muslims anywhere we ever went.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but my parents, my mother's white, my father's black. They're American.
Right.
So they taught me what they were taught, which is love for all and hatred for none.
That part.
Right. And this is a creed that they gave their lives to. And they're the two most peaceful people I've ever met in my life. My mother passed away a couple years ago, but my mother was always helping people, and she would give the shirt off her back to help you.
Right.
If she could, and so I mean that's the way I was raised.
Right. I mean, everybody should be raised like that, but you got people that's not raised like that. That you need to help everybody. Not I don't say help everybody, but help people when you see people in need. But you got people that see somebody in need and they walk over them.
Right.
And I'm just like, why? That makes no sense. God put us up for a reason.
There's a lot of people on this planet that they can't survive unless they are stepping on somebody else's back.
That's so true.
And a lot of people don't realize that, especially and not all wealthy and rich people, but in order to be wealthy, you have to have poor people working for you.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can make money.
Right.
And I want to tell you this little story real quick.
Okay.
So I used to work at this hospital in Memphis. It was a little part-time job. Are you familiar with what they call jobs called PRN?
Yeah.
Okay. For the audience, that means as needed. So it's a part-time job. You're qualified for the job, but they only need you for 20 hours a week versus 40 maybe.
Right.
Or you come in and work a shift if someone calls in sick or something like that. So I had this job in Memphis working in a hospital, and they had this. I was an operating room attendant. So we kind of cleaned in between the surgeries and other stuff. But I was also an anesthesia tech in the Navy, so they let me do more stuff.
Okay.
But for the same little lousy little $7.50. But it wasn't no big. I mean, if you walking around the hospital with scrubs on, look, I'm going around telling jokes and making people laugh all damn day. That's what I was doing. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Right.
And but we had this one guy that used to work 40 hours overtime every week. And it's because he was hit a gambling problem. He used to run down to Tunica and gamble his whole paycheck. Right? So this guy's coming into work. He's like, man, I just lost my whole paycheck, man. And he's going running to the supervisor asking for overtime and, you know, and extra hours. And the guy was like, oh, yeah, I'll give you all the hours you want.
Mm-hmm.
But I was sitting there one day in the locker room with him. And I said, do you know how much? I said, do you know that after you work 12 hours of overtime that you go into a new tax bracket and they tax your whole check?
Right.
And he said, what do you mean? I said, bro, when you get over 12 hours of overtime in the pay period, you go to 33% of them taking your taxes versus the 21%.
Right.
He didn't know that. So I said, if you work 20 more hours past this 12, they're taking the same amount of money from you. But you're giving them 20 extra hours.
And he didn't know that.
No, he didn't know that because he didn't know how to do math. And you know what? He stopped working so much. And then the supervisor asked him one day, hey, man, where the hell you been? He said, hey, man. He said, I'm going to say my name, too. He going to say, yeah. Karim said that I was working too many hours, and he showed me that I could work 11 hours and get the same check as working these 35 hours. So why am I wasting my time? He said, man, go home and spend time with your wife and kids. And then, you know, that guy came and pulled me to the side one day and said, hey, man, you need to stop teaching these niggas math. Because a bunch of guys stopped working overtime at this hospital because they was all being screwed by the house Negro.
Right.
Who only wanted them to be working.
Right.
And not at home. Or they gambling they check in Tunica and then they got to come back and get some extra hours.
Right. And don't realize they whole check is already gone.
Yep. So if you're in Memphis, Tennessee, and you know about a major hospital that's downtown, yeah, some dude was telling niggas to stop learning how to read, how to do math.
That's crazy. Well, tell the people, how did you get into comedy and what made you get into comedy?
That's a really good question. So, because I was a Muslim and because I was light-skinned, I got this nickname that all the other kids didn't get.
God, I'm scared.
All right, I'm gonna tell you. So all the white kids got called honkies by the black kids. And all the white kids was calling the black kids niggers with the R, hard R on it.
Hard R, right.
And my nickname was Arab. Because they thought I was from Saudi Arabia because my name is Abdunnoor Karim and I was a light-skinned nigga and I could speak some Arabic.
Oh my
now
God.
We talking like in the 3rd grade here. This was when it started, right? Look, it got so bad that I had to start using these niggas against each other. So when they would say, hey man, so whenever I would hear them calling each other the name, I go slip to the other one and say, hey man, you know that motherfucker just called you a honky? And then all the honkies be over there talking about, what? Did that nigga call it? What? And then they find out, and now they fighting on the playground. And I'm sitting back there watching them. Look, this was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in 1977 at the 27th Street School on 27th in Wisconsin. I already remember the kids' names. I want to say their names too, just in case. You had Samuel Townsend, you had Philip Franklin, you had Orlando. I'm gonna say his last. I can't remember. He's a Hispanic dude.
Right.
You know what? He used to tell everybody that I was Hispanic. I was like his cousin and shit. That was funny. But
oh my God,
here I am getting these. Look, here I am on. Here I am getting these kids to fight each other so they won't fight me, because me and my brothers are the only 3 Arabs in this fucking school. But we ain't Arabs though. We light-skinned niggas, right? My father's name when he was born is Robert Washington Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Right? My mama's name was Dixie Lynn Roberts, the whitest sounding name in America.
Right.
Yeah, they American. And we was mistaken for Iranians. They say, oh, yeah, y'all from Iran, right? Because the Iranians were starting to come over then. They were coming over then. The Pakistanis were coming over then. In 1980 is when this Middle East thing really started popping off bad. And that's when all these Muslims started leaving their countries and coming to the United States. Right. And so, you know, I'm saying that because most Americans don't know that. They think this is something new.
Right.
And if you think I'm lying, why did they got 100 million Chinese in fucking Africa right now? You know why?
Why?
Because they just started flying over there and they never left. And no one noticed. Right. I mean, you only can put so many people on a plane.
Right. You flying back.
So you flying everybody to Africa, but nobody's flying back. No, actually, goods are flying back. They sending shit back, and then they sending more people back.
True.
Just like the slave trade.
Just like the slave trade.
No, but look, let me tell you something, and let me tell America something that they don't know. Most Europeans during the slave trade didn't even know it was going on. You know why they didn't know?
Why?
Because it wasn't their business.
That's a good way of saying it.
Now, think about this. America. You live in Europe. Dirty, nasty ass Europe. Who the fuck gonna tell you they kidnapping black people in Africa and taking them over to South America and the Caribbean and the United States?
You're right.
That ain't none of their business.
No, it's not.
That's how 100 million Chinese are now living in Africa. Look it up.
You right about that? Because when I found that, I was like, wait, what? Huh?
Look, I lived in Memphis, Tennessee from 1994 to 2004. When I got there, they had 10,000, they say Mexicans. I say Hispanics. Right. Because you can't tell the difference between no Mexican and any other Hispanic. Right. They can, but you can't.
That part.
Right? They know them niggas down there. You don't know them niggas down there. I'm just saying, and they all speak in Spanish. So how the fuck you know what they are? But still, we had 10,000 Hispanics in Memphis, Tennessee in 1994. When I left in 2004, they had 100,000 there. And everybody was like, matter of fact, I remember it was a news thing about it. It was like, what happened to the population of Memphis? It grew by 90,000 more Mexicans. Because they all started moving here and none of them left. Right. And anywhere you go around the world, this has happened in time. This is not something new. This has been going on before Jesus Christ was walking on the planet. Right. Before Muhammad was here, before Abraham was here, people have always moved to places that was undesirable to go to some place that's more comfortable. Right. That's true. So, so you got Muslims who left their country because they didn't like the things that happened in their country, like getting their head cut off, or getting your hand cut off, or getting your tongue cut out for lying, or getting your dick cut off for cheating on your wife. Right. Those are Sharia laws. Ooh. And most Americans, look, let me tell you something. Any woman who's been sexually assaulted in the United States, you can't tell me they don't want that nigga castrated. Right. That's how they do. But that's Sharia law. Right. And guess what? They don't have a lot in Middle Eastern countries. Sexual assault. Because they cut your dick off. Right. Now, I'm going to ask you about that. Because this is what I want to have your help. Because I want to ask you about that. Do you think that law should be over here in America? No. Okay. Because everybody had their hand cut off, their dick cut off, and their fucking tongue cut out their fucking mouth. Because Americans are liars, cheaters, and fucking and murderers. True. And I'm like,
We all be
That's
dead.
why they don't want the Sharia law here,
Right.
because everybody would face the punishment, especially our leaders, the liars and thieves that we have. That's why they don't want Sharia law in America.
Right.
That's what they're afraid of.
Right. Ooh, yeah. Now,
I mean, think about it. Look. If you go to a Middle Eastern country and you get caught stealing, they cut your right hand off.
Yeah.
They don't cut it off because you stole.
Mm-hmm.
They cut it off to let everybody know you're a thief.
Right. And you knew better.
Now, of course, if you are a disabled veteran, you probably gonna have to, explain that one. But I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying.
Bullhead, the way you say stuff.
I know it's fucking. Look, I learned how to hustle words by my parents. You have to know how to hustle these people, because these people are hustling you, and the hustle it ain't no fucking joke.
Oh my
right?
God.
Too many motherfuckers playing motherfucking checkers when it's fucking chess out here.
Oh.
And I let motherfuckers know I'm a king on my motherfucking board. I ain't no fucking goddamn checker piece.
Oh my God. And
I grew up as a pawn, but now I'm the king.
Right. I be trying so hard not to laugh, but it's just the way you. It's the way
Look. You know what? I tell people all the time. Look, you ain't ready for me. You was not ready for me.
Cause the first time I met you was at Uptown Comedy Corner. And you saw me on stage, and when I got off, you looked me dead in my face and said, "You did good."
You damn right you did good.
Keep
and
going.
You know what? You were the first person I ever saw in a wheelchair on the stage too.
For real?
Yep.
Oh,
and you know what? Look, I ain't gonna lie to you. I was thinking about going and get one. Cause you get sympathy like a motherfucker with that bitch. Ain't nobody gonna talk shit about your ass in no fucking wheelchair. And then look, and I'm 100% disabled. I could have just said I was a disabled veteran.
Right.
But I was like, nah, because then I'm gonna start getting atrophy in my feet, because I'm lying. Because my mama used to tell me if I ever lied about something, Allah was gonna punish me, because I was born in the mosque.
Right. So you ain't doing it.
Now I might joke around and get a little bit more extra, but I always tell the truth.
Right. Cause I mean, when you told me I did good, I was holding my breath. Cause there's something about you that I could tell that you was a comedian and you had been doing it for years. So
I wasn't though. Well, look. You know what? I was being the comedian not at the Uptown.
Mm-hmm.
I was the comedian in the Navy.
Okay.
Yeah, shit. So let me give some flowers out to a couple people.
Okay.
In the comedy industry, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The first one is D'Amico.
Mm.
Yeah. He runs a lot of the Uptown comedy shows.
Right.
And I met him when I was up in the mountains in Tennessee with my wife at the Black Couples Getaway.
Mm-hmm.
We had like 200 black couples up there just having a ball for the whole weekend. It was off the chain. And he came up there to be the comedian because we had like a comedy night, we had a bingo night, we had a pajama party. I mean, it was off the chain. I got pictures and everything. So but when he got off the stage, I was like, man, I've been telling jokes for years, in the Navy. And he kind of looked at me like, okay, here's another one of these dudes, because you get them, right?
Right.
But I told him, I said, well, look, man, I said, I do need some training or whatever. He said, well, look, man, take my number down, the email address. And one day I got this email. It was right after COVID, or COVID was dying down. And it said, come to the Uptown Comedy on Sunday at noon for the comedy show.
Okay.
So me and my wife hadn't been out in a while. And I was like, you know what? Let's get out.
Right.
And I took her to the show.
Mm-hmm.
And that shit was no show. It was a open mic for comics.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it was worded, it was a comedy show. So it was like a setup, but I'm glad because I need to be here.
Right.
And then I met another guy, which we'll save for another time.
Okay.
And then eventually I ended up on the DC Curry show.
How was that?
It was fast. But you already know my personality. And I like to play with words because other people play with words.
Right.
And matter of fact, I went to Barcelona, Spain. And I saw the statue of Christopher Columbus. They got a square named after him in Barcelona.
Okay.
It wasn't a good experience.
Oh wow.
When I
He'll be back, y'all. I don't know. We always have technical difficulties over here, y'all. He'll be back. Y'all, but I had to have Bullhead on here. I've been watching him for a while, and I just think he's funny. I think he's educational in a funny way. I don't think he's disrespectful. I just think he is passionate about, what he's talking about. So I just wanted to have him on here to educate us in a funny way. So hopefully we can bring him back. Lord have mercy. It always be a technical difficulty. Okay.
Oh, what the hell happened?
I have no idea. It just went completely out. But yeah, okay, now speaking I see you talk about politics all the time on social media. I'm gonna ask you this question.
Yeah.
If you were the president, what would be your stance? I mean, now what would your administration just be about? How would you run this country?
That's a good question. Damn, that's a good question.
Because we see what's going on right now.
That man, look, being biracial and Muslim in America, that's a hard question to answer. Because, a lot of people don't understand that when I was born, like I said, it wasn't a bunch of foreign people that lived in the United States.
Okay.
It was mostly white, blacks, and Hispanics.
Okay.
We had some Asian people, but not a lot. We didn't have a lot of Muslim or Islamic people or Arabs or all these other people. We didn't have all those people here.
Right.
And matter of fact, I remember when it was technically against the law to buy something from a foreign country.
Yeah.
Do you remember when everything was made in the USA?
Yes, it was.
Right. And what happened to the USA?
They outsourced everything.
They outsourced, which means they pretty much shut down America is what they did.
Right.
They shut down all the factories. Look, I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Chicago, and everything in between. Zion, Waukegan, North Chicago, Highland Park. I've lived in all these Racine. I've lived all up and down Lake Michigan. Back when I was back before I joined the Navy in 1989, we had 10 breweries in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you didn't want to join the military, you had a job at a factory brewing beer.
Right.
And and as a Muslim, that's not really a big deal to me because whatever. But it was a job.
Right.
And it was a good paying job. Matter of fact, all my friends' families were allowed to bring a case of beer on Friday. They would give them a case of beer. Well, one of my friends' aunties, Aunt Minnie, Aunt Minnie, she used to take that case of beer and get on the bus and go home from working at Pabst Blue Ribbon Beer. And she had a whole entire basement full of beer. And she used to tell us, y'all better not mess with my beer. And she said, I know exactly how many cases of beer I got down in this basement. I got 192.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we never touched her beer.
I know you did. You were too scared to do it. Shoot, that's just like my mama. If you go in my mama's room, she'll know you been in her room. She'll know you'll move something. And she'll be
Yep.
like, who been here and who moved my stuff? So yeah,
Yeah.
you better be scared. Now,
Yeah.
now I want you to talk about, now you said you was in the military.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about your first time in the military, getting on that stage, telling a joke. What was that like?
Oh, Well, I didn't tell. Well, yeah, I guess I did tell a joke. So, man, it was in boot camp. You know what? This is a great story too. So after my mother and father split, and my mother being the first, one of the first white women, and one of the few, every single brother wanted to marry my mother.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, I got a cousin in Michigan that told me that they used to call my mother the brunette Marilyn Monroe. I mean, my mother was gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And we used to have to fight guys. Like, we used to tell guys, hey, no, you can't talk to my mama.
Mm-hmm.
Because they be trying to holler at my mama. And then we even had a missionary, an old missionary, Pakistani dude, that came to our house, and we had to chaperone him because he was trying to marry my mama.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
Old Pakistani, he looked like one of them, Arabs and stuff, right?
Right.
I'll never forget it too. And we was up there looking at him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, if we get married, I'll take care of these boys, and blah 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 blah." And we all looking at him like, "No, you can't have the brunette Marilyn Monroe, bro. Nah, right. That's not for you."
You're right. We don't need you around here. We good.
Yeah. So, but I think I told that to the guys in my boot camp. I was always telling jokes in boot camp.
Okay.
And I still got friends that I went to boot camp with. Most of them are retired chiefs or master chiefs. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I mean, all these guys are different races. It doesn't make a difference if they're white, black, Hispanic, Asian. I don't care who you are.
Right.
I don't care who you are.
Right.
If you are a human being and you are a decent person and you treat people well, I want to be your friend. I'm going to treat people well. But because I tell people this all the time. People act like race has a good or bad effect to it. Mm-hmm. You got bad people in every single religion, every single race, every single, well, not race, but every single ethnic background, whatever you want to call it, cultural backgrounds.
Right.
I mean, some black people act like black people don't commit crimes in this country.
Right.
And I can prove that one did because he killed my brother on the south side of Chicago.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, but he didn't get killed by no white boy. He didn't get killed by no police officer. He got killed by another brother that he used to cut his hair. And nobody talks about that in these communities.
Right.
And they also don't tell on these people either. So now they out committing more crimes.
Right. They got this.
So the person who kills your family might go out and kill somebody else's family.
Right.
But you ain't gonna say nothing because you don't want to be no snitch.
Right. This cold on the street, just no snitching cold. And half of the people don't even live on the street or from the street.
But they still know.
Yeah. But
they won't tell the people that can do something about it. Like, luckily, the person who was involved in my brother's demise left his DNA at the scene, and then committed another crime years later and got arrested for the crime because whenever you commit a felony in certain states, they automatically take your DNA to see if you committed other crimes.
Right.
So there was a DNA hit on him. But people be asking me why, I didn't go back to Chicago after I retired from the Navy. Mm-hmm. Because I know people who took my brother away.
Right.
Why would you want to be? Why would you want to be around people that know that and they look at you in your face and they not going to tell you?
Right. Cause that
I ain't
make you
got time for that.
retaliate. That make you want to retaliate.
No. My brother was a peaceful Muslim. He was getting ready to go to Ghana with his family.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
He had plans.
Yeah, I mean, he was about to leave.
Right.
Like he was about to leave in like less than 30 days before he passed away. And I mean, he was living at my best friend and my godmother's house at the time. I mean, he was packed and ready to go.
Right. I believe somebody knew that and they was jealous that he was getting up out of there to go live a good life, and they probably was just jealous he was leaving.
You know, it doesn't really make a difference what they thought. It was just the fact that they didn't respect a decent human being that, you know, had a wife and 2 children and never hurt anybody.
Right.
As a matter of fact, my brother used to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at his house, and he would pass them out to the homeless if they went past his barbershop. Yeah. I mean, we Muslims, so I mean, we don't fake this. Right. And we ain't perfect either, you know. Right. And that's another thing. The reason why I do my comedy, because I want people to know that just because someone is a Muslim don't mean they perfect. Right. They make mistakes like everybody else do. Right. That's true. The only difference is they just don't air out their dirty laundry like other people do. Right. Because to them, it's none of your business. Right. Because at the end of the day, I don't care if you know about my business. I can care less. Right. Because then you're gonna do about it. I mean, okay. I mean, I haven't committed any crime to go to jail. Right. So I mean, what else do I need to fear besides, you know? Absolutely nothing. No. Well, I'm not gonna say fear. I don't fear any man, but I am aware of my surroundings. As you should be. And some men are not. As a matter of fact, I know too many men who are not aware of their surroundings. Now, don't get it wrong. I train with the American Sniper. Right. I didn't do a lot of training with them, but I did some. Right. But I can tell you one thing. You have to be careful who you're around, and you just have to be aware of your surroundings. Right. And too many, especially with these phones. And I see all these brothers out here walking around, or anybody walking around with these phones and falling off of street corners and running into fountains in the mall, and because they're not paying attention. So if somebody gets you, you was on your phone. Right, because you know what? I seen a girl, she was looking down at her phone, and there was a pole right there in front of her. Yep. And somebody kept saying, look out, look up. She ran right into it. She ran right into it. I mean, she split her forehead down the middle. Not paying attention. So, and look, I've seen people get hit by a car. Look, I was an EMT also. Look, that's another thing too. I am the jack of all trades and master of all of them. Right. Not the master of none, of all of them. Anything I ever did, I was good at. Yeah, you should be. Yeah, I was an EMT. And yeah, I've seen plenty of people like not paying attention and get hit by a car because they crossing the street. I mean, just because the light is green, you still got to look both ways. Thank you. Some people don't pay attention. Like, you know, and that's the thing. It's like you are so comfortable with your phone that you look at your phone, not looking both ways. Like some people ain't looking at their phone while they driving. Oh my God. Now they hit you, and now both of y'all either dead or in trouble. Thank you, cause now when y'all was looking at what y'all was on these phones. Look, when I get in my car, I put my phone in my console. I don't talk on my phone. Right. Now, I will put it on speaker if you know, depending on who it is. But especially if I'm gonna start cussing, because you know. My mama, look, my mom, look. Let me tell you something. My mama was a great Muslim, but she had a foul mouth. Woo! Man, my mother wore the hijab, right? One time we was on a bus in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it was a blind lady sitting across from us. And I learned something about that too. But it was a couple Marquette high school students on the bus. And that's the little high school on Wisconsin Avenue. And they was talking about the blind lady. But what they didn't know is that blind people can hear you better because they've lost their sight.
Right.
They can hear you all the way to the back of the bus.
Yes, they can.
And my mother said that she whispered to me in my ear. She said, Abdunnoor, she said, those idiots back there don't know that she can hear them. And I was looking at her and she started smiling. So I knew my mother wasn't lying.
Right.
Because she heard my mother say, and my mother whispered it to me. She was like,
right.
Those fools don't even know that she can hear them. And she started smiling. And then my mother got up, looking like an Arab woman, and told them two students, hey, you motherfuckers, shut the fuck up. Don't you know she's blind? Don't you know she can hear you? And the blind lady's sitting there just dying laughing. And she's crying. And I'm just sitting there laughing too. And then the bus driver started and then these two students got off the bus. And everybody started clapping for my mother. And she was like, oh yeah. And I'm American. I'm a white woman. Don't let this Perta fool you.
Right.
I ain't one of them people overseas. No, I was born Dixieland Roberts. And now my name is Momina Karim. And she was proud with that last name. You know what? There's one thing too. I got some ex-wives, they don't get rid of that last name. They love Karim, boy.
They ain't gonna get rid of that last name.
No, they be like, shit. I asked one, I say, man, when you gonna change that shit? I like that Karim.
They said they heard that name.
They said, shit, I was married to Kareem Akbar, the educated brother from the bank. I messed up with him, but I'm still gonna keep that name though.
That part.
Yep.
You got a bunch of Kareems walking around here and ain't married to you.
Man, look. Hey, have you seen my joke about the spades?
I think I did. I done seen some of your stuff on social media. Oh my God.
So look, you know what? One day I was just sitting there playing spades with somebody, right? And it was I had a female partner. And she was flirting with me.
Oh God. She
said, how many kids you got? I know you got some kids because you a pretty light-skinned motherfucker. I said, what? And then I started thinking about it. I said, you know what? I got something smart to say. I got to do a comeback to this one. Because I hate when they call me light-skinned. I'm going to tell you why. So I said, you know what? I got 6 kids. And she said, damn. And I said, and a couple possibles. And then she said, damn. That's where I get the damn from. Because I always make people say damn. Because they don't be believing me. That's why I say I'm Forrest Gump. Everyone thought Forrest Gump was lying about everything that he was telling people on that park bench.
But he was telling the truth.
Well, not really, because it was a story.
Right.
But I'm the real Forrest Gump.
Oh my
This shit has really happened to me.
That is hilarious.
Like, I mean, I used to live less than 2 miles away from Michael Jordan twice in my life. And look, and to prove it, and I'm going to send this to the people that I can prove it to. I used to do something whenever someone would come to my house and I liked them. I would say, hey, let's go to the store. Hey, get in the car, man. Let's go to the store. Now drive them over there to the gate. And you should see the look on their face when I would pull up to that gate and they see that big ass 23 on that gate. And they was like, no. I was like, yeah. Oh yeah. And then I said, come on, man, get out there so I can take the picture. Take the picture, right?
Right.
But I didn't tell him where he lived at. That's why I drove him. so they couldn't take nobody else over there, because then they was going to spoil it for me from all the other people I wanted to take over there. Because once you let someone knows where somebody's at, it's going to be a crowd of people out there.
That's true.
That's how I met Muhammad Ali, that lived 11 blocks down the street from my house on Woodlawn Avenue.
How was that, living next to him like that?
Well, we were 11 blocks down the street, but when I was on the bus going to the school, our bus driver, I'm calling John the bus driver, he used to take us around all the little famous stuff in my neighborhood, because we had a lot of black celebrities and figures that lived in the neighborhood. So one day we was riding down Woodlawn, which is my street, and he stopped the bus and he said, "Hey kids." No, I'll take that back. I'm sorry. One day he stopped by there and it was nobody out there, and he said, "Guess what, kids? That's Muhammad Ali's house." And everybody was like, "Yeah, right. Okay." You know how people are, like Forrest Gump, like you don't believe the story, right? So maybe about 2 weeks later, he was riding by there, and Muhammad Ali was on the other side of the gate, and he stopped and he said, "Hey, remember I told you that was Muhammad?" He said, "Who was that?" And Muhammad Ali was on the other side of the gate signing autographs. It was a bunch of people out there.
They
Now,
believed it then.
Look, why did he tell me that? Now Abdunnoor Bullhead Karim didn't know where Muhammad Ali lived at. Okay. So now I started riding my bike past his house every day when I could, because it's only 11 blocks down the street.
Right.
And then it happened one day. The gate was open and he was sitting on the porch. And I was riding. Matter of fact, I had taken a friend of mine, you know, like back in the day when you put a friend on the handlebars. Actually, I had a friend from my neighborhood that needed to go back home, and I put him on my handlebars and I rode him home. And on the way back, I was going by the house and I was looking, because I'm like a hawk on his house now. I know Muhammad Ali's up in there, right? So I'm looking and almost crashed into a tree. Muhammad Ali sitting up on his porch up there, and the gate's open.
Oh wow!
So now I'm like, oh damn, it's about to be on. So I pull the bike back over there, and I'm looking up the gate. He's just sitting there. He don't even see me looking at him yet, right? And I'm like, man, my heart's beating 1,000 miles per minute. I mean, I'm finna pass out. I'm like excited. I'm like, man, what do I do? It's almost like getting on that stage.
Oh my God.
Like that comedy stage, right?
So you like this, you just nervous.
Oh, I was nervous, but then I realized, wait a second. Did you forget who you are? You was born in a mosque. And that's Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer in the world that's a Muslim. Right. So I straightened up. I got on the bike. I pedaled up the through the driveway. He stood up. He said, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Hey, this is private property." And I said, "Assalamu alaikum, brother." And then he stopped and he said, "Wa alaikum salam." He said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Abdunnoor." And he said, "Oh man, that's a beautiful name." He said, "I've never heard that name before." He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Well, I live on 61st and Woodlawn, and I was born in the oldest mosque in America." He said, "Really?" He said, "Where's that at?" And I told him the address. And this is what Muhammad Ali told me. He said, "I heard about that mosque, and I was told to stay away from there." And I said, "Yeah." I said because the person who founded it was the first missionary that came to the United States to spread Islam. And he brought a book, a Quran with English commentary in it. No one in America had the English commentary yet. They had the Arabic part, but they didn't have the English translation. So that means that you could try to read Arabic, but now you can understand what the Arabic says. Right. And a lot of these other organizations, they got their first Quran from this missionary. They're not saying that, but that's the truth. Right. Because this missionary went to Detroit, he went to Philadelphia, he went to New York, and he traveled around the Midwest and the East Coast, and he was giving out these Qurans. And he also started the first Muslim book or journal. It's called the Muslim Sunrise, and it was the first publication of a Muslim book in America that was published every week. I can't remember when it stopped, but I got my books over here on my bookshelf.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So another thing I am is a historian.
Right.
And I want to thank you for asking me these things, because I'm telling you some history that a lot of Americans don't know.
Right. Now,
not just black folks. I'm telling everybody.
Right now, now you are I ain't gonna say a diehard, but you are a Muslim in your DNA. Now, how does that play a part in you doing comedy? Like, how do that help and how do that hinder?
Okay, that's another good question. So, do you think that God has a sense of humor?
Yes, he do. He made us.
Okay. And I'm sure he down here laughing at a whole bunch of stupid stuff we doing down here. I know he laughed at all the stuff I did. And I got, and let's get this clear too. I got punished for my sins.
Right.
Right? Everyone gets punished. When you do bad things happen to you. Your punishment comes right away.
Right.
You just don't realize it yet.
Right.
Because you're like, oh man, I can't believe this happened and that happened to me. And then you look back at what you did to people.
Right.
That's why that's what happened to you.
That's true.
I mean, if you kill somebody and you spend your whole life in prison, does that mean you go to hell too? On top of it? I don't know. This is a question I'm asking the audience.
Right.
Because people don't think about that.
Right.
Maybe that punishment was enough for them to go to heaven after they did their life sentence, after they took someone else's life. Maybe. I don't know, because I ain't God. But
right. We never know.
But we all have free choice.
Right.
And that's why I always tell people, stop telling people what they should and shouldn't do.
Right.
I used to do that as a child, but now I'm an adult. I don't do the same things I did as a child. I don't think the same way but I had parents that taught me to love people and to not judge people, because all of us are sinners.
Right. That's true.
Right? And that's the reason why Muslims pray 5 times a day. We sin more than Christian people do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's why we got to keep up all day.
Right.
Think about it. Why would we be commanded to pray 5 times a day unless they know that when you saw that big booty bitch and it was still in your head, you had to go say Allahu Akbar. I'm sorry, it's in my head. or I used to eat my little favorite little egg McMuffin, sausage egg McMuffin. Yeah, but by lunchtime I'll be praying again. I'm sorry.
But I see now your comedy in your religion.
But I'm just saying, if I did something I wasn't supposed to do, then you're not supposed to wait to pray for it tomorrow. You're supposed to pray for it because you got. And then I pray more than 5 times a day.
Oh.
Because there's other prayers that you can make.
Right.
You can look now. I mean, it only take a second to say, God, forgive me.
Right.
Just for a thought in your head.
Right.
Or, hey, I didn't give somebody a tip that they deserved at the restaurant. I'll pray about that. They'll be all right.
Right.
No, I tip people well if they do good service, but I tip for service.
Right.
This whole thing that I deserve to get 20% tip. Yeah. I seen you back there, look, avoiding coming to my table 3 times while you was on your cell phone, TikToking with your friends.
That part.
So, if you put the phone away and give me the service I deserve, you're going to get a good tip. Right. You do that TikTok shit when you get off of work.
That part. And people don't
realize. When you take your break or you go take a dump in the bathroom or something. That's when you do it. You don't let your customers see you on the damn phone. I got a tip. Don't drink and drive. Stop smoking. Pork is good for you, and I've never eaten chitlins.
You stupid.
But them motherfuckers stink, though.
Now, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think the cancel culture is real in comedy? Or is it?
Yeah.
Just,
Oh, yeah.
the
haters exist. Yeah, the haters exist. But you know what, though? I love haters. You know why? They're crabs.
That's true, because, I mean, you got
They're
people...
crabs.
Because you got people that's saying this comedian need to be canceled. This comedian need to be canceled. And cancel culture, like, where did that come
Look,
from?
man, look, let me tell you something. Anybody who points the finger got 3 pointing back at them.
It's true.
And you know what? Them 3 fingers is 3 other people that know some shit about your ass too. They just ain't said nothing yet.
Right. Make a mad.
Everybody knows something about somebody.
Make a mad one good time.
Right. But see, you know what? Oh, see, my God. I love talking to you. Let me tell you something. When I was 8 years old, I watched Enter the Dragon.
Hey, Baldhead.
What's going on? Hey, I did karate from 7 to 10. Well, actually from 7 until 30 something or 40. Yeah. But look, you remember the movie Enter the Dragon?
Yes.
And Bruce Lee said, I'm going to teach you to fight the art of fighting without fighting.
Yes.
That's what I do with people, and that's how I use my comedy. I fight people without fighting them. So my mother taught me verbal karate. And it's the things you can say to people to shut them up and to shut them down where you don't have to get into a fight.
True.
And this is what she told me. And look, and I don't care. She said, embarrass the shit out of a motherfucker to the point where they fucking leave and walk away and can't say nothing.
Right.
So then you don't have to fight them. But she sent me to karate class just in case I did have to fight.
True, true.
And I've only been in about 5 fights in my whole life. And I lost my first one to this guy named Kelly Green from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I believe he became a police officer. He's the only one that ever beat me in karate. He kicked me in the nose and made my nose bleed one time. But I walked with him to the bus stop and got on the bus and you know, now I could have been like my brother Crabhead and you know go run and hide somewhere because you got beat. That's the same thing with the stage.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Baldhead said these people so sensitive today they can't take words. No, they can't.
And you know what? Do you know how easy it is to piss somebody off? You just gotta know. Look. You just gotta know what words to use with them.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'll tell you one for black women. Number one word black women don't like. It's called training. Whenever you tell a black woman she needs some training, they be like, I ain't no dog. What you talking about training? And then I go back and think. My sister did karate training with me when she was part of the training.
Right.
When I was a lifeguard, we had girls that did lifeguard training.
Right.
We had culinary cooking class where you were training how to cook and stuff.
Right.
And there was boys and girls in the class. It wasn't just the girls.
Right.
Like I remember them training them how to swim.
Right.
Which I was so good at it. I started teaching young black people how to swim, which is important.
Yeah, it really is. I'm mad I don't know how to swim.
See, there you go. But it's not hard to swim. Right. It's more, look, it's 90% psychological and 10% physical. True. But I know how to train people. Right. But when you use this word train with black women, they're like, look, I went to basic training. Look, every female that went to the military went to basic training. That part. And then they went to this other thing called AIT, Advanced Individual Training. That part. Everybody in this world needs some type of training.
Thank you. I don't know why.
And you let that word be this word that defeats you.
Right.
Because you feel like it's beneath you to learn something.
Right. And it never is. Because
And
we
this
all
is for everybody. This ain't just for women, but I know that key word. Look, you know what? We ain't gonna get canceled. I'm finna tell you this. You know those crabs I was telling you about?
uh-huh.
There's another name for them.
What?
You know the name.
What?
Look, you know the name. Look, do you know how to identify a crab?
No.
You call them a lobster. You
Okay, now
say,
that's
and then everybody looking around like, where the lobster at?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, you the crab.
Mm.
None of y'all are lobsters. Y'all a bunch of crabs.
Right. Crabs in the barrel.
Whatever you tell a crab to do, it will do.
Right.
Because they're in that bucket. They want
Right.
to get out that bucket. And matter of fact, they'll do stuff to get out the bucket too.
Right.
But
That's true.
I'm on the crab thing because I'm telling you, crabs are scavengers. They destroy stuff.
Right.
Or they take the leftovers. Like they don't work for the real thing. They only want what's left.
Right. They don't believe in working hard.
They don't. They think
At
that things
all.
should be given to them. Like
Right.
instead of hunting the animal, they sit on the bottom and just wait for the carcass to come down so they can eat the scraps.
Right. That's a
Right.
great analogy.
Right. But I'm saying these are people that are going to feed off of you. I've had
Right.
people try to feed off of me. And you know what? They were even more mad when I left them alone. When I put them in the bucket, oh, they was like, oh, hell no, you gonna put me in that bucket?
And they were mad as I don't know what.
Look, I got 4 ex-wives who are gonna be mad. They're gonna be mad. And you know what? I was mad when you was doing what you did to me.
Got Karim still as their last name.
You know what? Hey, that's all you gonna have is that last name.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because I'm giving all my money away. I'm giving all my money away to charity.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. Now I'm gonna ask you this because you know it is an interview show.
Right.
If you could go anywhere to do comedy, your dream spot, where would you go?
Man. Okay, so I'm a dreamer. So, oh man. You know what? I'm not gonna say where. I want to go to Mecca and make people laugh in Mecca.
Oh man, that would be dope.
And when I say laugh, I mean like not in a disrespectful way,
right.
but you know, there's a lot of people who just need to laugh so they can feel good.
Right.
And you know, like I've had an art of healing people, either through education or actually touching people. Like
Right.
I'm gonna tell you this one last story, okay? And it's funny too.
Okay.
So I was working at this place called the Baptist Minor Medical Center in Memphis on Rains and Mill Branch Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Memphis in Whitehaven. And I had this lady, I can't say her name for HIPAA purposes. I don't remember anyway. But she came in the clinic and she was like screaming and she was talking about, oh my God, I think I'm having a heart attack. And she was like seriously like I mean, she looked like she was in physical pain.
Right.
But what I normally do, you know, you take them out the lobby because they're scaring everybody else in the lobby. I took her in the back. But I could tell that she wasn't having no pain. So I looked at her. Yeah, she was just hyperventilating. Oh my God, I had this pain. And I said, I asked her name. She told me her name. I said, look, I said, can I ask you a question? She said, yeah. I said, what's wrong with you? She said, I'm having pain. I said, no. What is wrong with you? I said, what is going on in your life right now to make you have this panic attack that you're having? And she looked at me and I said, you know what? I learned this from this nurse. I went to nursing school for a year before I was with this nurse. This nursing instructor taught us in class. She said, if you grab somebody's hand and look them in their eyes and talk to them gently, you can calm them down within a minute. And you know what? I didn't believe her, like Forrest Gump. So I looked at the lady and said, excuse me, can I hold your hand? She said, she gave me her hands and I started looking at her and I started rubbing her hands. I said, ma'am, what's wrong? And within a minute, she calmed down.
Right.
This nurse instructor taught me some Jedi mind trick shit, right?
Right.
But it was wonderful. So then I said, what's going on? She said, sir, my granddaughter has been running around this neighborhood having sex with all these grown men. And now she's pregnant.
Oh, Lord.
And she has HIV too.
Oh, wow.
And I looked at that lady and I said, my God, I said, that's terrible. And she looked at me and I said, but you know, there's some good news about this too, right? And she said, what do you mean? I said, you know that all babies don't get HIV from their mothers when they're born, right?
Right.
She said, no, I didn't know that. I said, you know that they got a place called the Regional Medical Center. It's called the Med. It's downtown. It's the equivalent of Grady here in Atlanta.
Right.
I said, you know, they got an HIV clinic there. And since your daughter is pregnant and she's underage, they will take care of her. She said, no. I said, look, I said, calm down. Let me go get the number for you. I'll be right back. And I went to the front. I got the yellow pages because the internet wasn't really like what it is now.
Right.
But I got her phone number and I gave it to her. And the doctor, who I'm going to be talking a lot about, no names, of course, came in there and said, can I see my patient? And that lady looked at him and said, I don't need to see you no more, sir. This gentleman took care of me just fine. And then he tried to get the receptionist to charge her for the visit. And I looked at him, we looked at each other and looked at that doctor, and he went back in his little office and we looked at each other and he's like, man, we ain't finna charge you for this.
Right. Because, Lord,
yeah. And there's a nurse from Memphis, her name is Miss Mary. She used to work there with me. She pulled me to the side. She said, you know what, Karim? You the doctor. That other dude, he ain't no doctor. You the doctor.
Right.
And that ain't the first time that's happened there.
Right.
With him and other doctors too. There's an element that people forget about when it comes to being a healthcare provider. It's called caring for people.
Right. And making them feel good.
And the worst freaking doctor in the world can do a better job at taking care of a patient than somebody who doesn't give a damn about you.
That's so true. Now, Baldhead
and give you the wrong prescription because they watching the Monica Lewinsky scandal and President Clinton scandal on television instead of seeing patients.
Right.
And now I'm in there telling these patients what they need to do. Look, go somewhere else. Go to the ER. Right. There's a quack up in here. Look, if somebody has some serious shit going on, I said, don't come up in here. Go to the ER. We're gonna be there for 5 hours. It's worth it.
Right. Now look,
because the hour you're gonna get here, you still gonna have to go to the ER for 5 more hours.
Right.
Yeah, I was telling people to leave because I was protecting my patients.
Right. Now look,
and there's nothing against the law from that either.
Right.
You just telling somebody something they need to know. This is not the right place for you, homeboy. Nope.
Right. Now look, Baldhead just said training is offensive just like obey is.
Like, I mean,
he right.
I mean, okay. So what else is offensive?
Calm down.
Okay, yeah.
But that don't bother me.
I mean, what you supposed to say? You know what? Start acting more crazier until you get tired and pass out. Actually, that kind of works. Actually, I've had to do that with a couple patients and an ex-wife.
Cause look, I seen a video with this lady and her husband. You know, they were talking and she got mad with him. He said, "Baby, just calm down and breathe." She said, "Did you just tell me to calm down, nigga?" I mean, she went off.
Yeah.
She got so mad, she broke her neck.
Hey, did you see that video where I showed the lady who was acting like a 3-year-old with the tantrum and doing her head and all that? And I mean, I was listening like, let me tell you something. I got 4 ex-wives, right? You know what they all had in common?
Oh God, what? Besides you, what?
They had a daddy, but they were spoiled. And they daddy gave them to me, but I had to get them back because they were some spoiled brats.
Oh.
And some of them were abusive. They thought because I was a light-skinned nigga that they could fucking, because I like women your complexion.
Okay.
I love chocolate. The chocolate, I'm the chocolate monster. Okay? Yum yum. But
I remember the first time
but that don't give you the right to try to treat me bad. Especially right. When look, let me tell you something. I said this up on stage one day, and I mean this shit too. I went all out for them.
Mm-hmm.
I spent all my money on them. And guess what? It makes it easier for the divorce because you ain't getting nothing else.
That point.
And guess what happened every time? I got it back, and then I did it again. That's why I say I'm a Forrest Gump. Stupid is what stupid does. But guess what? I'm still here. And I'm finna get it again.
You know what?
I know I'm finna get it.
I don't know what to say about you no more. I really don't. But look, I'm gonna ask you this question.
You get me in raw form tonight. Trust me.
Now look, I'm gonna ask you this question because this the last question of the night.
Oh, snappy.
Okay, now this is the libations part. Do you drink?
Not anymore.
Okay, now when you did, I want you to tell us about the time that you were so drunk and something just funny just started happening around you when you were drunk.
Okay, you ready for it?
But go ahead.
All right. Hold on a second. Damn, what'd I do with it? I wish you would have told me about that because I would have went and got my flash. So look, one time I got so drunk. I got so goddamn drunk. I was in Vegas. And I married this chick off the street that I didn't know. And I don't think I consummated the marriage that night because I was too drunk.
You know what?
But what I did do is the next morning, if I got on the plane, I went down to that chapel and I ripped that shit out of that fucking paper. And I think I'm still married to that hoe.
What? You know what? That's hilarious. I can't, boy.
I had to rip the register. Look, they had a chapel down the street. I went down there and looked for the page with my name on it, ripped that sucker out there and got in a cab and went straight to the airport. She don't even remember my name. Because she was drunk too.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. Well, Bullhead, I want to say thank you for coming. I appreciate you. I know you be busy and everything, but I just wanted to have you on here to give you your flowers because
thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Because you make a lot of people laugh on social media and on that stage, and you make me laugh every time I see you post something. I'm like, oh God, well, he finna post today, Jesus.
Hey, look, like I said, you know what? Don't be asking me if I'm crazy, motherfucker. I'll show you some fucking crazy.
That part.
Ask my 4 ex-wives. They know crazy.
Right. Well,
because they lost their mind when they was fucking with me. Doing this. Look, they used to call me light-skinned nigga. I said, look, no, I ain't no light-skinned nigga. I'm a dark-skinned cracker.
You know what? I'm gonna get off of here before you say something else.
Damn.
But look, I just want to say thank you again for coming on here. I'm gonna make sure I bring you back. This
All
was
right.
a great interview, and again, I thank you so much for coming on here. I just had to give you your flowers.
I appreciate you too.
No problem.
Tomorrow's my birthday. Taurus, baby.
Make sure I tell you happy birthday tomorrow.
All right.
All right.
All right, bye.
Bye. Well, y'all, this was another great episode, good people. Y'all, this was another great episode. I'm hoping that y'all enjoyed it. Hope that y'all had a couple of laughs. Y'all learned something from Bullhead. I'm like I said, I'm gonna bring him back. And I will see y'all again Sunday. Y'all have a great night, good peoples.
She says, well, I